So all those yeast, candida, all this candida garbage, your naturopaths are just like the medical profession. They have the bad guys. And the bad guys aren't the chemicals. They're the natural things in nature. They are treated and they are programmed to think just like the medical profession, the allopathic method. Search and destroy. So your alternative therapists aren't much help because they're trying to destroy this, they're trying to destroy the candida, the parasites, everything that's natural in your body that's trying to work with you to get healthier. You have to forget all of that. You have to trust nature and realize the only thing that's causing you disease are the poisons that are coming from industry. That's medical, that's the agricultural industry, anybody who puts chemicals in your food. I don't care if it's just coloring. Do you know what yellow dye 16, 13, 5, 7 have? You know what makes it yellow? A heavy metal. A heavy metal that causes kidney cancer. Cadmium. Had a patient whose father, right over here, Jeff, had kidney cancer, right? Kidney cancer. So I said, Jeff, you want to know what caused your father's cancer? Take a piece of the kidney and send it to a lab and see what heavy metals are in it. Came back high in cadmium. You go on the internet, what kind of cancer does cadmium cause? Kidney cancer is one of the top. So anytime I want to know why my patient has cancer, I take some of their vomit, their diarrhea, if they're having diarrhea at the time, or some of that tissue that has cancer in it, or the actual tumor, take a piece of that and have it analyzed. Had one patient, thought she was going to live for sure. She was pretty young, only 38 years old. She was awfully thin when she came, but not extremely thin like Twiggy, but, you know, she wasn't skinny. She was just at a good weight. And for somebody who has cancer, I say, get fat. So I got her to put on 25 pounds, and I wanted her to put on 35, 40 pounds, you know, because the cancer was here in the breast. So she didn't do it. She only put the 25 pounds on. So when she started dissolving the tumor, and all the secretions started eating away at her tissue, she was vomiting and having diarrhea. She was weak and in bed that whole time. And the vomiting was intense. It hurts, especially when you're throwing up poisons. So after 2 months of vomiting, I had to find out what was so toxic that she could be vomiting this violently, because I had only known one other girl who had done that, vomited like 11 times a day, 6 to 11 times a day, and that was Awanza, and she had 63 tumors in her body, and there were innumerable ones in her brain, so I understood all that heavy metal was dumping and causing her to vomit all the time. But this girl, I didn't know what. So I took that 4 ounces of vomit, sent it to the lab. The lab called me a week later and said, you know, when they finally got around to my sample, and they said, somebody's poisoning your patient. I said, what do you mean? He said, she has 3 times the lethal dose of thallium in that 4 ounces of vomit. 3 times the amount that usually kills a person, of thallium. Thallium is a metallic mineral that's very much like mercury, but is a cross between mercury and lead in its toxicity. And I said, no. Now I know why. She was a jewelry maker. And she never wore a mask and she never wore gloves. So all of that metal she was burning with her head right over it, breathing it in all of those years. All of that thallium, heavy metals, caused her cancer. And she didn't make it. She got down to 2.5 months of vomiting, and all of that, she was down to where she was starting to get too thin, and she just couldn't eat. She died because she couldn't eat. Cancer was all dissolved. It was the end of it. She couldn't eat. That's why I say, get fat, because you don't know what poisons are in your body that are going to come out and start moving. And if you don't have the fats to take care of it, you're going to have problems. So fat, 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 fat. Get rid of thin. I want to look good. I want to be thin. Forget it. It isn't healthy. If you've been on as long as I have and you've got most of the poisons out, you can be fat and not look it. But that takes a little time. Takes a little time. 30 years. 30. But I had chemo and radiation. Most people probably would take 15, 20 years, I have some young people that do it in 7, 8 years. Fat for 7, 8 years and then get, full and strong looking, like an athlete, not skinny ever again, because I don't want anybody to ever get skinny again. Unless their body's taking through a detox and they use up all the fats, but then they need to put it on quickly after that. So, poisons in your environment, in your food, in your air, in your water, wherever it is, those cause your diseases, not bacteria, not parasites, and not virus, not fungus, not candida. Those are your friends. They're trying to get rid of damaged tissue from poisons. They're your helpers. You got to help them.